true events. It exposes how the Chinese Communist Party handled the COVID-19 pandemic. The Unrestricted War is a political thriller set in the early days of the coronavirus outbreak in China. And joining us now to discuss the film is director Yan Ma. And good afternoon to you, Yan. Thank you for joining us today. So the film touches on the silencing of whistleblowers, the control of science, information, and media. So can you tell us a bit more about this movie?
Yeah, so the film is inspired by the COVID pandemic, and we mainly focus on the very beginning of the outbreak. So we wanted to really reflect on what happened, what already started, how the public was manipulated, and how information was censored at the very beginning, and eventually turned this local public health crisis into a global pandemic.
Right, it's inspired by real events. How closely did you follow those real events?
We closely studied what happened in the first 30 days, 30 days to 40 days at the beginning of the pandemic. And we studied the case of the whistleblower and a few related events, including the scientist, the Chinese scientist was arrested in Canada P4 lab for stealing viral samples and some commercial espionage activities.
So I think what you were referring to is the heart of the film follows Dr. Jim Conrad, right? He's a regular person caught in something very much bigger than him. What do you think makes this story so powerful?
Well, I mean, because we through our research, we realized all the stuff the Chinese Communist Party did during the pandemic is actually highly aligned with the concept of the unrestricted warfare, which is a military strategy that brought up by two People's Liberation Army officers. So they basically encourage China to use all means necessary to defeat their enemy, rather than just focusing on traditional military power. So that's why we feel like this nowadays in our world, everything is so closely connected to China. So we think it's a very important message to share, this strategy they're using.
Okay, speaking of the strategy here, what truths does this film expose about the CCP, perhaps, about the pandemic?
Well, like I mentioned, we focus on the very beginning. So we showed how the CCP authority in the beginning they cover up, they arrested the whistleblower of the pandemic, they made him confess on TV, and then later on when they actually locked all the Chinese flights and opened all the international flights, and 1 month later, they announced that actually they admit there is a pandemic, but by the time they admit it, it's actually too late. It's already spread globally.
So what were some of the challenges? I would imagine there were a number of them that you faced making this movie.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, making this film is very difficult for us, especially for me as a Chinese Canadian filmmaker. We kind of knew this in the very beginning. Because many of our team members, they still have family in China, including myself. So my family was harassed and threatened by the local Chinese government and the National Security Office. And one of my immediate, one of my family members actually, the income got cut off by the local government officials when I first started the project. Now it's been almost 2 years. So it's a very challenging situation for us.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that your family faced those things, but you persevered, right, in the end, despite those challenges. And to me, I mean, I've seen footage of the movie and it looks fantastic. So what motivated you to continue in face of those obstacles?
Well, I mean, me and my team, we decided to move forward because we know this is very important story to tell. And I mean, like, it's almost like a warning to us, to the rest of the world. If we don't, I mean, like, this is the first time, this time we are kind of lucky. If in the near future we're facing something much worse than COVID, if this happens again, then we may not have a second chance. So I think it's very important to share the message, and so we can be prepared.
And can you elaborate, what is that message that you hope audiences will walk away with?
Well, I mean, like unrestricted warfare nowadays, like I said, we were having so many connections with China, with the Communist Chinese Party. And in our mind, warfare is always related to battlefield with soldiers. But nowadays, that's not the case anymore, because everything is so closely connected. Our like working environment could be impacted by some economic warfare, like the espionage activities, or our like social media platforms could be impacted by a Chinese owned company, which also influenced by the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, that could actually spread their propaganda to our world. So basically, the influence is everywhere. This unrestricted warfare is actually everywhere. And I guess that's something we should be aware of. And also, I guess every story ultimately is about people. So we have those protagonists in this film that they paid a very high price to do the right thing, to sing the truth. And I hope this story can actually give us courage. And when we were facing a tough decision in our life, we can all find courage to do the right thing.
Well, very well said. And I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just have one more question. If you had to tell someone why they must see this important movie, what would you say to them?
I would say this movie is really challenging for us to make, and there are many brilliant filmmakers in China, but they don't even have the freedom to make a film like this. And we are here in the free world, and we did our very best. And we really hope this film can spark meaningful conversations, and hope all the audience can enjoy the movie.
Well, Yan, I have no doubt that this movie will be successful. Thank you so much for your time talking to us today.
Thank you.
Taiwan authorities are investigating 16 Chinese companies for allegedly recruiting tech professionals. The Chinese companies under investigation include prominent players in semiconductors,